Hi, I'm Matt Gorman, and I would like to talk about a book I've been reading for the past several weeks. I don't want to talk about it. I want to talk about a book called I Don't Want to Talk About It because I want to talk about it. It is The Overcoming the Secret Legacy of Male Depression by Terrence Real. Started reading this several weeks ago, and it's been very slow going because I underline a lot, I annotate a lot, I process a lot, digest a lot, and take pictures of paragraphs here and there, sharing on social media because I think there's uh, so much in here that is profoundly insightful on a number of fronts. What I'd like to do today is I'm going to read a couple of pages because I think this really pulls back the layer of several things. I mean, the stigmatization of male depression, and also this growing debate about gender. And I think once we get done listening to these couple of pages here, we might be able to really understand the origins of some of the what's behind the debate, if you will. So, anyway, with that, let's begin. And first sentence begins with, we begin. We begin sending boys the message that they have fewer emotional needs than girls in the very first moments of life. One research team studied parents' responses to newborns in the first 24 hours after delivery. The researchers selected newborns that matched in weight, length, alertness, and strength so that there were no significant differences between the boys and the girls. Nevertheless, both mothers and fathers perceived their newborn sons as more alert, stronger, larger featured, more coordinated, and firmer. They saw baby daughters as less attentive, weaker, finer featured, less coordinated, softer, smaller, more fragile, and prettier. In a classic study in the field of gender research, John and Sandra Kundry videotaped the reaction of a 9-month-old infant to various stimuli: a teddy bear, a jack-in-the-box, a buzzer, and a doll. They played the 10-minute tape for 204 male and female adults who were asked to interpret what they had seen. Some were told the baby was male, and others in the group were told it was female. The adult subjects saw the crying girl baby as frightened, but when they thought they were watching a boy, they described him as angry. If you think your child is angry, the authors asked, would you treat him differently than if you think she is afraid? It would seem reasonable to assume that a child who is thought to be afraid is held and cuddled more than a child who is thought to be angry. Such research on parental response teaches us that we see what we expect to see, and we react to what we see. Researcher Jean Block used extensive cross-cultural data to suggest a number of important differences in the ways parents treat boys and girls. Block found that both mothers and fathers stressed achievement and competition in their sons and encouraged boys to control their emotions, emphasized independence, and developed a tendency to punish boys. Fathers in particular were stricter with sons, and mothers revealed concern that their sons conformed to external standards. Both parents characterized their relationship to their daughters as warmer and physically closer than with their sons. They expressed greater confidence in girls' truthfulness and encouraged girls' introspection. At the same time, mothers were appreciably more restrictive with girls, monitoring them more closely than their sons. Researcher Beverly Fagot confirmed many of Block's observations in a study that examined parents' responses to stereotypical versus non-conventional play in their children. Fagot found that parents gave significantly more favorable responses when their children conformed to same-sex preferred behavior and actively discouraged cross-sex preferred behavior. Girls, for example, elicited negative responses from their parents when engaged in large motor activities such as running, jumping, throwing, and positive responses when they asked for help. Boys were encouraged to play by themselves and discouraged from staying close to the parent. Boys were praised for independent accomplishments and tacitly dissuaded from helping the parents with chores. One of the most interesting findings in that these parents, all of whom demonstrated significant force in shaping their children's conformity, saw themselves as unequivocally as treating their sons and daughters alike. The discrepancy between the parents' own report of even-handed treatment of both sexes and the parents' actual behavior was vast. With remarkable understatement, Fagot concludes, these data suggest that parents are not fully aware of the methods they use to socialize their young children. For decades, feminist scholars and social researchers have patiently built up a body of evidence showing the psychological damage done by the coercive enforcement of gender roles in girls. But what about the damage to the psychological development in boys? If traditional socialization takes aim at girls' voices, it takes aim at boys' hearts. Little boys and little girls start off with similar psychological profiles. They are equally emotional, expressive, and dependent, equally desirous of physical affection. At the youngest ages, both boys and girls are more like a stereotypical girl. If any difference exists, little boys are, in fact, slightly more sensitive and expressive than little girls. They cry more easily, seem more easily frustrated, and appear more upset when a caregiver leaves the room. Until the age of 4 or 5, both boys and girls rest comfortably in what one researcher has called the expressive affiliative mode. Studies indicate that girls are permitted to remain in that mode while boys are subtly or forcibly pushed out of it. There's another researcher, Bob Connell, who goes on to give similar type of findings, but I'll finish off this section here with this conclusion. Whether by active violation or passive non-responsiveness, the rituals by which boys are taught to conform are often unpleasant, Bob Connell writes. Agencies of socialization cannot produce mechanical effects in a growing person. What they do is invite the child to participate in social practice on given terms. The invitation may be and often is coercive, accompanied by a heavy pressure to accept and no mention of an alternative. Now, this is where this is going to get a little triggering with the words used here, but this is from a study, and this has happened and does happen. Mama's boy, faggot, pussy, wimp. No boy I know of has escaped the experience of such ridicule. No man I have treated has fully eluded the taste of the lash one receives if one dares not accept masculinity's invitation. I'm going to share a little more on this in the coming days, but I think as we listen to that, we recognize some of the challenges or many of the origins of not only male depression, but I want to be sensitive here and maybe not say gender confusion, but where the mixed signals are coming from society and why we are now in this debate on gender. So I look forward to sharing more of this with you. So thanks for sticking by and listening. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.